It's been said that a man without a knowledge of himself is like a tree without roots. A tree without roots can't grow. That observation is especially relevant to us as a people. Without a knowledge of ourselves, we cannot grow. Without a knowledge of ourselves, we cannot prosper as a people. Without a knowledge of ourselves, we cannot know who we are, and especially young people. So it's important that we embrace our history. We're privileged to have as our guest today an individual who has spent a significant part of his adult life talking about and publishing information relevant to the history and culture of black people. He is the publisher and founder of American Legacy magazine, American Legacy Woman, American Legacy Junior, and a number of other magazines that most of you who read his biography are aware of. So we're pleased to have you here today, Mr. Reynolds, and we thank you for coming to the village of Wadley, coming to the village of Harlem. We're going to try and have a comfortable dialogue between these brilliant, handsome young brothers and sisters here and yourself. But I'm going to begin this conversation with a couple of questions that I've harbored in my breast for quite a while, my chest I should say, for quite a while. I'm an avid reader of American Legacy magazine.
I'm glad to hear that.
Okay. In fact, one of the stories that lingers in my consciousness was the story of the oldest survivor, black survivor, that is a soldier who had fought in the Civil War. I mean, I could go on. There are a number of stories. I'm always intrigued and pleased and impressed by the quality of the work. I'm curious as to what was it that gave you the vision and the desire to create a magazine such as American Visions? American Legacy, I'm sorry.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I became very interested in our history and culture through a friend of mine, a college classmate who had taken African American Studies while at the University of Cincinnati. And one of the things that I, along with some of our other classmates, found out was that he was actually learning about his history and his heritage, and learning about the individuals whose shoulders we all stand on. And I thought that was very, very important. And so when I was looking to go into business, I looked at which area, which industry that I would go into, and it was certainly going to be publishing. But then what kind of products would I publish? I could have published a hair magazine, I could have published a gossip magazine, but I thought that it was very important to publish a magazine that was educational, uplifting, enlightening, and that would not only educate and inform our community, but more importantly, inform the general market community as well. And so I think that's really what got me involved in publishing a magazine that focused on our history and heritage, and then knowing that there was a huge appetite across America at that particular time to learn more about our history and heritage. I think that's the number one reason why I went into that particular area.
When I was a kid, I mentioned to you earlier that I grew up in Augusta, Georgia. And at the time, I didn't have access to libraries. There was one library, and if you were not of a particular hue, you were not allowed to enter unless you entered through the back door. As fate would have it, I came across a copy of Black World. And if memory serves me correctly, that particular magazine, periodical I should say, was published by the Johnson Publishing Company. And in reading that magazine, I had an opportunity to embrace Du Bois, W.E. Du Bois, I should say. I had an opportunity to embrace our history. I found out that we were the builders of the pyramids. We were the architects of science and learning. And that was a fundamental change in my life. That magazine no longer exists. I've often wondered, why is it that publications, particularly those that speak to our history, never really last for any length of time. I recall most recently the George magazine, a magazine that was published by John F. Kennedy Jr. That magazine is now defunct. So it appears that magazines often have a short lifespan, and that is particularly relevant to magazines that speak to us as a people. My question specifically, though, is what do you think, how do you see the American Legacy family of magazines evolving? Do you think it's likely that they're going to continue to exist, or will it become a dinosaur?
Well, I think, I think that American Legacy will continue to exist because of the type of editorial that the magazine focuses on. I think that there's so much history, and I always like to say that there's history in every nook and cranny across the country that a lot of times we're not aware of. And so what we like to do is to publish a lot of those unknown stories about individuals, organizations, associations, etc. in American Legacy that people generally don't know about. And I think we haven't begun to scratch the surface in terms of the multitude of articles that exist out there in the communities that we can include in American Legacy. And then when you look at our entire brand, our television program, and our kids magazine, our American Legacy Junior publication right now, our circulation is about 50,000, and it could easily be 1 million by being distributed in every urban school across America. With our women's publication. So all of our brands really are celebrating our history and heritage from different aspects, and I think it's so important. I think we as a people have become more interested in who we are. The 70s certainly played a big role in that. The civil rights movement played a bigger role in that. And so, I think more attention is being given to the subject matter now, and I think that we will continue to see what we do and what other publications do in terms of informing the community. I mean, we're a vast community, so we're not locked into reading just one publication, and so we should immerse ourselves into various publications, learning about business. You're not going to really learn about business in American Legacy because we're history and culture, but if you're looking to learn about business and see what black people are doing in the business community, you might want to read Black Enterprise. You might want to read Essence if you're a woman. I mean, so there's different publications out there today that serve the needs of the community. It's important that as we continue to grow our magazine, for the industry itself to be strong, the African American category, we need more publications to be developed, to be targeted to the community, so that the advertising community, the business community, will take us seriously. Because if there's only 1 or 2 publications, they don't really have to spend their money in the community. But if they see this as a category that's growing, that it has some substance, then they're more inclined to develop their dollars towards reaching that particular marketplace.
Thank you. We're going to give these young people a chance to ask you some questions momentarily. But I was just reflecting as you were talking on a conversation that I had with a young lady, an older lady, I should say, who lived on 135th Street, Strivers Row, 137th Street, Strivers Row. At the time that I had this conversation with her, it was a couple of years ago, and she talked about how, as a child growing up here in Harlem, she could walk out her door and she could see Paul Robeson, or she could see Paul Ernst Dunbar, or she could see any number of individuals who were on the cutting edge and who were contributors to the language of human experience in a most profound way. And she said that you no longer see that. When a brother or sister walks out of his or her door now, you're more than likely to see someone who we would not want to embrace. Consequently, we've asked individuals such as yourself to come here. absent those kinds of role models in our neighborhoods, what can be done, or what do you think we collectively can do to make sure that these young brothers and sisters see individuals that they can emulate?
Well, I think it's important for individuals like myself who are involved in business and different industries to take the time to come out and to interact with youth in the marketplace or in our communities. One of the things that we did, every year we have this Women of Strength and Courage Awards that we do during Black History Month. And for the first 3 years, we brought in these exciting women that we were honoring. But about 2 years ago, I decided that, what was even more important, I wanted to provide youth an opportunity to have interaction with these dynamic women that we were bringing in for this award ceremony. And so we developed a youth forum component to it. And the first year we had about 50, the second year we had about 70, and then this past February we had close to 85 youth from around the tri-state area who were there to have an informal rap session with Nikki Giovanni, with Sylvia Woods, who owns Sylvia's right here in Harlem. And so for them to be able to interact with individuals like that, I think that particular component has really enhanced our overall program, and a lot of our advertisers really have gotten excited about participating in that. So I think we need to do more of that, and I think we in the community need to be willing to go into the schools and talk to the students about what we do, to let them know that it's not going to be easy, but you can be successful, that there will be obstacles, but in spite of the obstacles, they can be successful in what they choose to do.
Hopefully we'll have some of these young brothers and sisters in that next forum.
We'll sign you up right away.
Okay, great. Great. We only have about 6 or 7 minutes left, so we'd like to give these young ladies and young men an opportunity to pose some questions to you.
Okay, good morning. I'm Carmen Rodriguez. Mr. Reynolds, with such a success in your career life, are you satisfied with what's happening in it?
Well, I feel blessed, but I know that with what we're doing with American Legacy and some of our other brands, that we've only scratched the surface, and so there's really a lot more work to do. You can never become complacent or never believe your own press, so to speak, and I think it's important that we work on a daily basis to enhance our products. And so while I am grateful and I feel good about where our magazine is at this particular time, I know the vision that I have is for it to be even further, and so we have to work on a daily basis to make that happen.
Good morning. My name is Cohen Santos. Mr. Reynolds, you have a triumphant and outstanding career. What are goals that you might still ponder or pursue in the media and cultural issues?
From a media standpoint, I would like to increase, for American Legacy, increase our frequency to 6 times a year versus the magazine being a quarterly right now. I would like for our television program to be seen across the country on a quarterly basis. Currently, the program airs during Black History Month, and sometimes we air it on cable. But we're working to fully develop that particular program. There's always more work to do and more products to develop. We're currently working on, which we're going to be introducing in a couple of weeks in Dallas, a Black History curriculum guide that we've developed as an outgrowth from some of the stories that have been included in American Legacy. And what we've done is to put together a 30-page or a 30 subject matter lesson plan curriculum guide for teachers that can be utilized in schools all across the country. And so I'll certainly make sure that you will receive a copy of that so that you can utilize that not only during Black History Month but all year long.
Okay, my name is Vanessa McCoy. What set off your interest of doing what you do today?
I became interested in publishing originally through my graphics arts class, printing class that I took in junior high school in Cleveland, Ohio. And then ultimately in high school, my high school teacher, who was a great role model for me, Kenneth Ragland, gave me responsibility in the classroom, printing brochures, printing booklets, printing the commencement announcement, and that really sparked my interest in publishing. And then I would always look at, go to the newsstands and see that there weren't any magazines that really represented me. And so I looked at, if I were going to go into the magazine business or an industry, I wanted to publish magazines that represented me as not only a black man, but as an individual who was looking to learn more about their history and their heritage.
Hello, my name is Michael Lovett, and I wanted to ask you, what sacrifices did you have to make in order to become the person that you are today?
Good question.
That is a very good question. I think those sacrifices, a lot of times when my friends were, going to some exotic place, I would have to say no. I also had to make the sacrifice, to go to college. And what I'm saying by that is that, some of my friends didn't go to college. They thought that they could just get out into the workforce and be successful initially. And so I thought, I said, in order for me to achieve what I wanted to do, I needed to prepare myself from an education standpoint and learn about my craft and learn about the various opportunities that exist within the publishing industry. And so, I really went about trying to educate myself about the publishing industry. When it comes to being in business in general, there are a lot of personal sacrifices, too many to name, that you will have to make in order to sustain your business. Some things that you can't take advantage of that other people will take advantage of. But the important thing is not to compare yourself with other people, but to have a dream of your own and to work towards that dream on a daily basis. And never let anybody tell you that you can't be successful in something, because that will come up. It'll come up from family members, it'll come up from friends, but in spite of that, you need to have confidence in yourself as an individual, have confidence in your abilities, and work towards achieving those dreams that you set for yourself on a daily basis.
Who gave you, or who helped you or gave you encouragement to do what you are doing today and throughout your life?
Certainly probably my biggest supporter has been my wife, because she was there when I didn't have a dime, and so she's there now. So she's been a great supporter and helpmate. My mother, who when I went right after college, I had an opportunity to either go to work for an ad agency or go out on my own. My mother told me to shoot my best shot, and so I decided to go out on my own and try it. And that encouragement was very, very critical at that particular time, because she could have said, why don't you just go get a job? But instead of saying that, she said, give it your best shot. And that really, ignited me, so to speak, the spirit in me to be an entrepreneur and to try to reach some of the goals that I had set for myself.
Unfortunately, our time together is about ended. But as I've listened to you this morning, and as I've listened to these young brothers and sisters dialogue with you and open up their hearts, I was just reflecting on an ancient Chinese proverb which says that to name yourself is the beginning of wisdom. And it occurs to me in this age when we oftentimes use words that N-word or call each other names that are inappropriate, a magazine or the family of magazines, American Legacy Television, those are devices which help us to name ourselves correctly. And we thank you for that. In naming ourselves, we begin to embrace wisdom. So we thank you.